Okay, so this pond is obviously nice and green. And the reason why a pond goes green is because the fish that are in the pond and any nutrients like leaves or rotting material that might blow into the pond will create nutrients. And these nutrients are going to either allow the growth of algae, so therefore help to fertilize algae, or will help to grow good bacteria. So when you see a pond with fish swimming around and the water is crystal clear, that means that the good bacteria is beating the algae, because both the good bacteria and the algae are competing for the nutrients. So in this case, this pond's had a few clean outs to get all the sludge at the bottom because there was quite a lot, but the water remains green. And the reason why it remains green is because currently the good bacteria is losing to the algae. So the good bacteria needs a few things. The first thing it needs is as much oxygen as possible. And we can clearly see that this situation is getting a lot of oxygen while the pump is on. So while the pump is on, we're getting very good oxygen. And the other thing the good bacteria needs is a place to grow. So what we've done now is we've come along and added a filter. And in this filter, lots of good bacteria is going to be able to grow. So once we have good bacteria established in this filter, with time, the good bacteria will slowly outcompete the algae, and then the water will stay clear. Now, the reality of that happening with the outdoor environment with sunlight is basically zero without a UV. So what we've got now is a UV sterilizer, which is in the top of the filter. And the UV will kill anything that goes through it. So it will kill algae and sterilize the water. But it'll also kill bacteria. So when you first get a filter, until it's established with lots of good bacteria, you definitely don't want to have the UV on all the time. You can have it on and off, whatever you want to do, but not on all the time, because the good bacteria needs to establish in the filter. And this will take, let's call it a month. So this timer is actually on a timer. This PowerPoint's actually on a timer. So that's perfect. So it'll come on at night time and come off during the day. And that's a perfectly good operation for the UV light. The other thing to be aware of is the UV light that's inside this filter, which, mind you, if you look at this little thing here at night time, you'll see that little glow, and that will mean that the UV's on. You want to replace this tube about every 1 to 2 years. Now, because it's on a timer, maybe it'll last a little bit longer than usual, so more like the 2 years. But once again, it will depend on the pond. So if the pond's going green, then replacing the UV tube and giving the housing around the tube a good clean is a very good idea. Now, these filters are by far the best filter you can get, especially as far as servicing is concerned. So to service this filter, what we'd actually do is take this off like this. Then what we'll do is put a hose on it. So here I've got a hose ready to go. So we just go and put that on it like this. Then we can take that hose and put it anywhere we want to blow the water, or you can water the garden with it, or whatever you want to do with that hose. And then what you do is you switch it to backwash, which I'll just show you now. So I'll just put that hose over here. So if we switch that over to backwash, you'll see this hose will start shooting water out like that. And then when the hose is shooting water out, we then want to pump on this handle. So we want to pull it up. I can't do it with one hand. You pull this handle up a bunch of times until you notice the water coming out much clearer. And then when you finish that, you switch it back to backwash, back to normal running again, like that. Then you want to take off the hose. And the only reason I've got a hose is because we don't want this getting all sprayed down. Then we just put the end cap back on, because you can get a little bit of a dribble. It's not dribbling now, but it's safer just to put the end cap back on. And that's all you got to do. And if you just did that once a month, that'd be great. And basically, if there's lots of junk coming out when you pump on the handle, then doing it regularly is good. If you switch it to backwash and you pump on the handle and there's not much waste coming out here, then you probably don't need to do it as often. So once again, once you've got this hose, you can either water the garden, you can put it down there, which is a wet area, so it'll go out to a drain, so it doesn't just blow off down here. But yeah, these filters are my absolute go-to filter. Any other filter, you just end up wishing you bought that one anyway. And it's really important about at least once a quarter to grab your phone, make a little video of the pond running, and bring a sample of water down to Majestic Aquariums, and we can make sure that everything's going well. And every now and then it wouldn't hurt just to turn off the big one. So we turn the big one off, and now you make sure you can hear that water sound to make sure that you know that that other filter is still running, because that filter is actually running in behind there, and I can clearly see that it is running because I can see the water coming out. So that's the water coming from the filter, because it's actually coming in behind the back. So just every now and then, if you hear that sound with the other pump off, then you know the filter's running, so you know there's nothing that's gone wrong there. Otherwise, if you just switch it back on again, you're not going to hear anything as soon as that turns on. And you could even consider that one being on a timer, because you wouldn't have to have that running all the time. So it's beneficial if it does, but if you find that the filter inlet's getting clogged up, you could actually consider putting that one on a timer, as long as the filter one is always running.